The fallout from last week's Supreme Court leak now goes to a vote in the Senate today. Senate Democrats have advanced a bill to a procedural vote to make abortion rights federal law. As of now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is short of the 60 votes needed to overcome a Republican filibuster. As Democrats try to avoid the filibuster, GOP leaders say it's possible they could pursue a national ban on abortion if they take control of the Congress in November. And joining us now, live from Washington, D.C., with more on today's vote and what lies ahead, we're honored to have Senator Mazie Hirono with us this morning. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
Well, thank you for being here. Tell us more about what it is you're voting on. What exactly is the Women's Health Protection Act?
Basically, the law that we're going to be voting on, or the bill that we're voting on today, will mean that the Democrats are saying that women should make a decision, not government, on whether or not to have an abortion. That's what it's all about. And this constitutional right that women in this country thought we had for almost 50 years, the radical right-wing Supreme Court justices are about to toss out. So that's where we are, and it is really important that the people of America know what is happening, and that is that, you know, in spite of the fact that 70% of Americans support Roe, that this right that we've had for almost 50 years will be tossed out. And it will be government making the decision, not women.
Sure, and as we understand it, it would go back basically to every state to decide, right? Now, Hawaii was the first to protect abortion even before Roe v. Wade, even before that. But what could this mean for Hawaii if things are thrown into limbo without the a change in the federal law?
That means, exactly as you said, if the Republicans take control over the U.S. House and Senate, then there will be a push to have a national abortion ban. And that will preempt states like Hawaii from enabling women to make the decision and not state government. But let's just remember who's doing this at the state level. It's Republican legislators and Republican governors. And that is why it's so important that in this election time that we use our votes to elect people who are not going to impose these kinds of restrictions, taking away a woman's right to control her own body.
Mm-hmm. Now, you face long odds, though, on this vote. Not unlikely to have enough to get through the filibuster. Why proceed against those odds? Is it making a statement? Is it trying and trying again? If neither side can overcome a filibuster, realistically, how real is either the Federal Protection Act or, conversely, a federal ban going to be?
This bill is really important to show Americans who is on the side of a woman making this decision and not government. So the people of America need to know exactly where every senator stands. The U.S. House has already voted out this bill.
All right, you have the support
and
from...
what would it mean if there's a federal ban, nationwide ban? It means Hawaii's law that enables women to make that decision will no longer apply.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've been in both state and federal government for decades. What is the significance of this in your mind in terms of the risks at play here, whether at the judicial or the legislative levels, for rolling back of rights? We don't usually see that from our Supreme Court or from our lawmakers, the taking away of rights. How unusual is this?
Is very unusual. In fact, we expect the Supreme Court to protect our rights, not to take away rights, particularly, of course, a right that we thought we've had for almost 50 years. So this is very radical on the part of the Supreme Court. Obviously, to them, precedent, a 50-year precedent doesn't matter. And so they're going to kick this constitutional right issue to the states, and no longer protected by the Constitution, by the way.
Now, you sat in on the hearings for when many of these justices were appointed, and we heard them state that Roe was settled law. Do you?
No, they didn't say that. Okay. They didn't say Roe was settled law, but they all talked about how important precedent is.
Precedent.
But we all know that the Supreme Court, if they want to, provided they have the numbers, which they now do, they can undo any of their previous decisions. And were it not for the 3 Trump justices on this court, Justice Alito's opinion on abortion would still be a minority or a dissenting opinion, but no longer, thanks to the 3 Trump justices, it is now going to be the majority decision.
All right. And Senator, do you sense that the leak of the draft will make any likelihood that any of the justices who were on the side of doing away with Roe might change their mind before the final?
I doubt it, but on the other hand, I just want to reiterate that the Republicans are much more astounded and stunned and all of that about the leak than they are about the fact that women are about to lose this constitutional right to control our own bodies, a right that we thought we had for 50 years. That doesn't stun them. That doesn't astound them. That's how wrong-headed their priorities are.
All right. Well, we will certainly keep an eye on the votes coming up and what both sides decide to do next. Thank you, Senator, for spending time with us this morning.
Thank you. It's not over.